Welcome to Weird Faith. I'm Phil.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Josh.
We are ready to talk to you about some increasing of our faith. We're going to exercise it today, but before that, we're going to get a little weird first. So I wanted to be able to shout out some people that have commented on our YouTube videos, Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And Janie Carrico was the first person, I think, to watch the last episode of Weird Faith.
I think she's our most devoted fan.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she waits for it to drop at 7 a.m. and she's immediately
she
like...
was right
or
there.
she's in the room here with us right now, and she just hears it all live.
But she said, Paul says it well. We talked about comparison last time, and she said, Paul says it well. I've learned to be content with whatever I have, and that's found in Philippians 4:11. She also told us that there was a song in the 60s called the Hurdy-Gurdy, and that was sung by a man named Donovan. So Google that, check that out, and
Jam out.
yeah, I'm sure it's great.
We'll have Scott sing that one next time.
Josh Tremblay said, great podcast, fellow, the wife and the kids. Nope, that's not what he said. Let me read it. His kids are real small.
Like Colson's like a year old.
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
He's into it. He's into it. We have actually got a few. Tori texted me this today and said that one of the 5-year-old kids that she babysits wanted to watch the Weird Faith podcast. So.
Oh, I meant to tell you the other day, Ryan Rutt and his family have been watching. Shout out to Sarah too.
Yeah,
to leave you out there.
Yeah,
but he said that at bedtime, the 2 youngest ones are going to sleep, and then the 2 older ones are allowed to stay up and listen to Weird Faith with their parents. It's like, man, we're like it's like a privilege.
We need to
thing.
do one where it's just children's stories, and we'll be like us reading their kids' children's stories.
Yeah. Fletcher, go back to bed. You're not supposed to be listening right now. But Josh Tremblay said this, actually. Great podcast, fellas. The wife and I were just talking this weekend about comparison being the thief of joy. And he loved the Augustine quote. Ryan Sigmund, one of our most frequent weirdos, commenting on everything, and said that Phil was the winner of the 30-second sermons, although Scott got stronger at the end. And I agree with that. Once he understood. Well, Josh and I kind of had a head start with that since we did it.
It was your all's idea.
Yeah,
you
a
always
long
to
time
do
ago.
it.
Yeah,
So,
something Phil introduced to me when I was a teenager. So.
Right.
I wasn't prepared.
Yep. He also made some boy band photoshops. If you didn't see that on the Instagram account, you go check that out. Jessica Wagner followed up with that and said that we need more Backstreet Boys on Sunday morning during worship. I'm not sure that'll happen.
That'd be heretical.
But she was
down.
excited about that. And she also said that we need to start our own boy band called the Baptist Boys. That would be an interesting.
Or we could stop going to church altogether and be the Backslid Boys.
The Backslid. Yeah. Lisa said, I think all 3 of you need to do some karaoke at some church functions sometime soon. We'll see. Maybe we can make that happen. And then Samantha Audia loved the message behind the last episode, and she actually gave us our topic for today, which I'm the host today, and our topic is on competition. I don't know about you, but sometimes it can get competitive. And sometimes at family functions, whether you're playing a card game or trivia or something like that, we can get a little bit competitive. So we're going to talk about that today. But before we go on, Scott has something to talk about.
Yeah,
here.
so with the idea of being competitive, one thing that we are actually very competitive about is who wins the Weird Award each week. And now I finally am in the club. I thought I would go this entire podcast without ever winning.
Not as weird as you are.
The problem is we didn't get very much social media traction this last
we got
last
comments,
week. We
but
got a
just
lot of
not
comments, but no one ever voted for us. And now, we didn't put anything out there to say, hey, who won? So maybe it's on us too,
Sure.
but it's mostly on you all for not voting for us.
It's your fault. We're perfect.
I do a shout out. Didn't you not just send us a screenshot of somebody else commenting on one of our recent episodes?
Yeah.
Was it Emily?
Yes, Emily
Emily
Deneen.
Deneen,
Yeah,
on
talked
the
about
space episode.
Right,
Yeah, she said it was like her favorite one yet or something like
which
that.
just so happens to be one of the ones that Scott did.
Yeah, I
so,
mean, that's true.
I don't know.
And I also do want to shout out one of our fans who lives in Parkersburg, Tony Postaway. He actually drove through Clarksburg the other day and wanted to stop by and say hi. So shout out to Tony for being our furthest away fan who's willing to drive to us. So you all aren't willing to get on social media
just to get our
vote.
autographs.
Yeah, he came all this way for an autograph and a picture and a selfie. Yeah, we're good. But yeah, so we're going to do some fun facts today about some sports stuff. And yeah.
Before we go on, though, since it's competition, I wanted to put these guys to the test. And to
more
see
karaoke.
How, let's get to vote on who's the best. No, we're going to do a quick little game here. So I'm going to put 20 seconds on my clock down here. And Scott is going to tell us as many baseball teams, MLB teams, that he can think of in 20 seconds. And then we'll give Josh a topic after that. So, ready? Go.
Cardinals, Cubs, White Sox, Reds, Brewers. Why am I counting Pirates? Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Phillies, Nationals, Braves, Marlins, Rays, Rangers, Astros, Dodgers, Angels, Padres, Mariners, Giants, Rockies, Royals.
How many did he get?
You didn't count, did you?
You were counting?
I started off and
he started and I was watching it today.
You mean name all the ones I named?
We'll say you got 8.
I said Cardinal. I did all the NL Central. That's 5.
You threw in AL Central.
I threw
in
the
the
White Sox.
I was like, where did the White Sox?
I threw my softballs was 6.
Yeah.
I said the Mets, the Yankees, Red Sox. That's 9. Then I went down. Phillies 10, Marlins 11, Braves 12, and then I said the Rays 13.
Doing these in
swung
order.
over to the Astros 14, Rangers 15, Dodgers, Angels, Padres, Giants 19. Then Rockies and Royals 21.
Wow, man, that's
Mariners,
crazy. 22. I know you were going fast. I couldn't keep up.
I can't even tell you who I left out.
Yeah, it was definitely 1 a second at the very best. So, so I won't rely. You were actually counting, and I was just watching.
It literally threw me off just by doing it.
That's kind of crazy.
All right, I'll do better this time.
Right. We can just leave my part out.
But we also need to point out the best team is right there.
Right back here.
Right back there.
Got my Braves.
Notice we have no Philly stuff in here. So
I've kind of got
that. I gotta get something in here
where it's like sitting over my head. It kind of looks like I'm wearing it on the camera. Look, check it out. There you go.
Yeah. All right. We will let Josh go. On your mark.
Wait, so
you're doing football teams.
I'm
NFL
doing
football
NFL teams. All right, here we go. Ready?
I'll count.
Good.
Falcons, Saints, Panthers, Buccaneers, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Lions, Vikings, Packers. Who am I missing in there? All right, I'm going to move on. Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals, Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos, Chargers. Come over here. Got Jets, Dolphins.
21.
21?
Hey.
What NFC North team did I blank on? There's the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Bears. I missed the Bears. Yeah, I was trying to go by division, and that one, I got stuck on one.
That's how I started, and I threw White Sox in. I'm like, well, that's out the window. Let's just move on from that.
Yeah, I went NFC South, East, North, West, and then tried to go to the
So
AFC.
you both got 21 again?
I got 22.
You got 22. All right. Yeah. So give it up for Scott.
Great job, Scott.
That's awesome.
I'm proud of you, bud.
I'm proud of you.
Scott won. He gets to take a little rest. Josh, you give us some weird facts for today.
Yeah, I was excited with the opportunity to come up with some weird facts for sports. I love weird statistics and things that are, coincidences. And I also love like family rivalries and seeing families that are good at sports, like generationally, like things like that. So I found one that kind of a father-son thing here. If you're a baseball fan and you have been for a while, you would be familiar with Cecil Fielder and Prince Fielder. Both played baseball. Both had very different paths into the major leagues. I actually read that Cecil Fielder played a year in Japan after he didn't get much hype in America, and he hit like 38 home runs, and then came to America to play Major League Baseball and was amazing. But I found this fact about Prince and Cecil Fielder. So both of them, father and son, finished their career with 319 home runs on the dot.
Wow.
But it gets even more specific when you categorize them by the inning. So, or by the situation. Both Prince and Cecil Fielder had 97 2-out home runs. Okay. Both had 49 fourth inning home runs. Both had 29 fifth inning home runs. And both had 18 ninth inning home runs in the clutch time.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Totally identical in all of those situations. Prince and Cecil Fielder. I like to think that Prince just like didn't want to outdo his dad, so he was like,
he did retire early.
Yeah, he's hit it.
I loved watching Prince Fielder. He was so much fun to watch. So
nuts.
Yeah, trying to be kind to his dad there.
But there's a lot of like father-son duos that have similar stuff, like the Griffeys, the Guerreros, now the Biggios. All of them also have similar swings.
Yeah.
My dad actually sent me this the other day, so shout out Rich McClure. So you remember Moises Alou that played for the Cubs, and I think the Giants also. I always forget his dad was one of three brothers that played. The Alou brothers. It was Jesus, Matty, and Felipe Alou. And at one point in 1963, they all played together in San Francisco, and that was the outfield.
That's crazy.
With all three Alous. And actually, he sent me that because I think this was on last Saturday. Jesus actually passed away, but so all three of them played together. So that's kind of wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, mine is about umpires. Love them or hate them, the boys in blue, right? So one thing I thought was interesting about umpires, when they first were introduced, they used to sit on padded rocking chairs until 1859.
That's awesome.
So can you imagine, you see like your favorite catcher right behind him is this guy sitting in a padded rocking chair.
That's awesome.
But another weird thing about them, I'm not sure if this is still legitimate or not, but I found that they were required to wear black underwear.
Wow.
Because of the constant position that they put themselves in. I guess if they were to rip their pants,
right,
it would be less shocking. It would be a little weird if the guy is calling the game behind home plate and he rips his pants. There's like polka dot underwear. I guess.
Right, believe it or not, we have an underwear dress code here at Clarksburg Baptist Church. Only polka dot.
That's something you self-impose on yourself. It doesn't have anything to do with us.
Swore it was in the job description.
That's funny.
So what do you got? You got more?
Yeah, so I've got another baseball fact going to an Atlanta Brave legend here. Warren Spahn, okay? He had a super long career, Hall of Fame pitcher. So check these numbers out, okay? We're going to look at his pitching stats, which obviously more notable for him. Most pitchers are not great hitters, but we are also going to look at his batting stats, and you'll see some pretty crazy similarities here. So in his career, he had 363 wins. That's a lot of wins. 356 of those with the Braves, 4 with the Mets, and 3 with the Giants. Now, batting on the other side of the plate, in his entire career had 363 hits. Same amount as the wins. 356 with the Braves. Same amount as the Braves wins. 4 with the Mets, 3 with the Giants.
Wow.
So his batting and pitching stats totally mirrored as identical.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty insane, crazy. Right?
Yeah.
I love these little weird coincidences.
Baseball
with stats.
Such a game of numbers. It's so easy to find those things.
I feel like if you watch baseball like all the time, it feels like every night during the baseball season, some kind of crazy random thing happens. Baseball's just so romantic too. Yeah. I was telling Scott about Tim Kirkagen was at a game last year I was watching with Mike Koreski, and he said, you know what? The one thing I want to happen in this game is Joey Votto of the Cincinnati Reds. He's never once in his entire career flied out to the pitcher. And his first at bat, he got up there and flied out to the pitcher. That's, not a huge deal, but it's a stat that he was watching and he's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah,
I called it.
Absolutely.
Well, it's also weird that we don't always recognize greatness that's right in front of us. Like, yes, like football, we've realized, our life has been the Mannings and the Bradys, like all the greatness that comes with that. But also, like, some things just go unnoticed. I saw the other day, like Tony Gwynn, one of the greatest players to ever play baseball, but undervalued, underrated. No one realizes how amazing of a hitter he was.
Maybe the greatest hitter.
One of the greatest hitters of all time. Someone said that there was a stat where a guy struck out like 200 times last year alone, that over his entire career, he never struck out that much.
That's crazy.
That's incredible, like how amazing that is. And another kind of similar thing. So a normal thing now, we just witnessed Pujols hit 703, I think.
Yeah.
And then like
Something
Aaron
like
Judge, broke the AL record.
Yeah.
Possibly the, asterisk next to it record. Who knows?
Right.
The bidding wars over that ball. Now, imagine like you're getting offered like millions of dollars for this.
Right.
Here's a crazy story. Babe Ruth, his 700th home run, he paid the fan who caught it. How much do you think for that ball?
Let's see. That would have been,
I don't know.
1920s. $20.
$20.
Oh, no way.
$20.
I did not know that.
So I can't remember. I was trying to find it.
You owe me $20.
I do. I couldn't find it. But think about that. Like, we're offering millions of dollars now. Like, I can't remember what Judge settled on. I don't even know if Judge ever actually got it. He may have sold it to the Hall of Fame, but $20.
Yeah.
It's a different time back then.
So
still
different cultures
he was
too. So
eating hot dogs in the dugout, I think.
Yeah. I would talk to a few guys about going if Albert was at
Right.
$6.99 going to
Don't bring it up.
to PNC Park.
I had two opportunities and I missed it.
Yeah, but I was like,
I'm still bitter.
I was trying to imagine if I was in the general area where that ball was landing, how many people I would have crawled over but
I would have fought them all.
I just saw that in the World Baseball Classic right now, Shohei Ohtani, Japanese baseball legend, one of the greatest players in the game right now, two-way legend. I mean, amazing. He hit a home run ball and a fan caught it and they took turns passing it around, taking pictures with it, and then just gave it back to the person who caught it.
Wow.
So
That's
like
crazy.
instead, it's kind of a cultural
That's wild.
like here watching MLB in America, it's like, no, I caught
see
that
some
ball.
50-year-old man
And they're just
trampling
like-
a baby to get to it.
like you see it all the time, like pushing kids down flights of stairs and stuff to just get a foul ball.
So which one would
right?
you be?
I would probably be the kid that was getting pushed.
One last thing, 'cause I just thought this was absolutely fascinating. So not baseball related, so Olympic related. I think another thing we don't realize how long the Olympics have been around. Right. So the first Olympic race took place in 776 BC.
Oh wow.
So 776 BC, and the very first ever race was won by a chef named Carubus.
Dude, let him
And
cook.
moments after receiving his
cook.
first paycheck, he hired a cook and an agent to represent him. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So if you're a chef, you can do big things. Try out for the
Yeah,
Olympics. You can
Right.
probably do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not in the kitchen, but just go do something else big.
So we'll be talking about competition, and competition can be a great thing. It can be fun when you're, have a little rivalry, and even when you're, crushing your niece in Connect Four or something like that. All that can be fun, and it's good to try at everything that we do. The Bible tells us that whatever we put our hand to, that we should try our hardest to the glory of God. It's good to work and all those type of things, but sometimes it can go too far, especially when it moves out of the realm of games and into the realm of life. So something that happened a few weeks ago that was pretty hard for me was the Eagles. I'm from, right outside of Philadelphia, 30 minutes or so. And the Eagles were in the Super Bowl after, the Philadelphia MLS team lost in the championship. The Phillies lost in the World Series. And now the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl. And it was
most likely the 76ers are going to lose the
But
championship.
if they make it there, I'll be psyched.
But
I'll be psyched if they make it there.
To
I don't know.
oh, we've been waiting on a prediction. I was gonna say the Suns, but KD might be out now. I don't know.
Right, yeah. But so that was tough, and I'm glad I'm not talking about it. I haven't talked about it for a few weeks.
He's been walking around pretty much depressed.
Yeah, haven't really listened to any sports radio, kind of letting it simmer for a while. Finally, now with free agency picking it back up, it's easy to kind of think about the next season, but it's pretty rough. And one cool story, though, that came out of this Super Bowl where the Chiefs won 38-35. It was Eagles up 10 points at halftime. So it was a hard game for me. But there was a cool part, which was the Kelsey brothers.
Yep.
You have
So cool.
Travis Kelsey, who plays for the Chiefs, tight end, probably Hall of Famer, has Super Bowl previously before this one he just won. But then also Jason Kelsey, who's a center, also probably a Hall of Famer. Just today, I think, signed or just said he's going to play another year, which I'm excited about. Most of the time, I don't know that I can name another center in football, but Jason Kelsey is one of my favorite Eagles ever. He's just such a leader.
Awesome
But
guy.
they both met each other in the Super Bowl. The first time
Is that
I think
the person I ever met?
they never met. They didn't even know they had brothers. It was
Long
weird.
lost at birth.
Same name.
Yeah, but there's other brothers that have played on the same team in the Super Bowl and coaches that have coached, I think, that were related.
Harbaughs,
yeah,
yeah.
the Harbaughs.
Yep.
Not Brett and Carly, but the other Harbaughs.
The other lesser known car balls.
Yeah, right, yeah. Danny and Reed. But they are brothers that started against each other in the Super Bowl. And, one's on defense, one's on offense. So they played against each other. So it's a pretty cool experience for Ed and Donna Kelsey, who are their parents be an amazing thing. They talked a lot about her driving them to practices and all that kind of stuff. But before the NFL, these brothers were not very heavily recruited. They both ended up playing for the Cincinnati Bearcats. And at one point, Travis even violated the team rules with some substance abuse stuff, failed a drug test, and lost his scholarship. And it looked like his career was probably going to be over before it ever even really started. But his brother, Jason, went to bat for him, talked to coaches, and said, hey, look, he can live with me. He ended up paying the rent for it and feeding him, all those different types of things, and talked the coaches into letting him sit out a year and then come back a year later. And even today, Travis, for the Chiefs, says, if it wasn't for Jason, I would have not ever made it to the NFL because his brother put himself on the line and his, all his position on this team to be able to get his brother back in line and to keep an eye on him and keep him on the straight and narrow. Travis has said, that it's all up to him. But when Jason lost, says one of these brothers was going to lose. And it's such an amazing thing to think about for a set of parents to know that you're going where one of your sons is going to reach the pinnacle of his career, everything that he's worked for, everything that you helped work for them. And one of them is going to fail right there on the doorstep. So these two brothers met at the middle of the field, and Jason hugged him on the neck, and they cried together. But later Jason said that he wasn't crying because he lost, but rather he was just so proud of his brother and that he wanted, him to experience this. And there was tears of joy. And you had a quote, I think, about that too. Go ahead.
About that situation with them. Yeah. Just, and Phil and I were listening to, they have a podcast. It's kind of a lesser than Weird Faith type podcast, but it's really cool. But they just talked about what that moment was like. And, Jason could have made it all about, self-pity and, hey, you kind of owe me your condolences and your time right now. But when they met in the middle of the field, they hugged, I love you, but hey, I don't want you to spend your time worrying about me. You go be with your teammates. Yeah. You go celebrate. Do not miss a moment of this success and this win and this energy that your team is feeling together.
Yeah. So it's kind of a funny coincidence that Philadelphia is known as the city of brotherly love. We got to see that on full display in the Super Bowl. And it's kind of an uncommon thing today. We mostly hear, when you think about love, you think about romantic love, and you don't really often see this brotherly type of love that puts others first. But that's what the first church was founded on, was these people that would put others' needs before their own. But we're today in our culture told that we need to get all that we can on this earth and trample on whoever we need to in order to get to the top. And here we get to see these two brothers cheering each other on, knowing that if that brother gets what he wants, then I don't get what I want. I'm going to lose out on that thing. And last episode, we talked about comparison and how comparison steals our joy, and it can make us get a jolt of satisfaction when we see others fail. But brotherly love is the opposite of this, where we put those needs of someone else and their accomplishment before our own as we cheer them on to accomplish something that God has for them. Hebrews 13:1 says to let brotherly love continue. And that's what the church should be founded on. And I'm not sure we always accomplish that, where we cheer other people on when they get their way. I'm sure we've all been a part of church experiences where two set of people butt heads about something that doesn't really matter at all, and you end up seeing a fractured relationship rather than one person laying down their opinions and what they think is best in order to see someone else get what they want. And that's the kind of love that is disarming. And that's the kind of love that brings unity where there is division. And that's the kind of love that we need in our world today that would stand out from the world. And it's love of transaction, where I'll give you what you want if you give me what I want. Pushing through those awkward situations where two people's opinions are, and wants and needs are on the opposite side. we can see some amazing displays of love like we got to see between those two brothers. Jason was happy for Travis because he truly loved him, and because he wanted to see him succeed. And the Bible says that we are in a race, in this life, and that life is like an endurance race, but we're not racing against each other. We are racing against what, our flesh, what it would do. You've ever, Mario Kart, you guys play that growing up, where there'd be those time travel trials, right? And so you would race one, and then the next time your little ghost figure would race around. And that is kind of like us and our flesh, like who we are in Christ and who we would be without Christ. That's who we're racing against here in this life, is ourself, and to be, the person God wants us to be, better than we were yesterday. So because of that, we can cheer on our brothers and sisters in Christ, and we can be excited when Josh gets an opportunity to, do something, or a pastor across town gets an opportunity, or someone at your work gets a promotion. You can cheer those people on and be a part of their success by being their cheerleader. And it's going to make you much more happy than that comparison that we talked about. One of the hardest verses in the Bible for me is Philippians 2:3, where it says to do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but rather in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interests of the others. And that's one of the most amazing displays of love, is when someone lays down their thing and say, hey, I know that you are a person that is loved by God, and in this scenario, I'm going to respect what you want, and I'm going to lay down my needs in this time. Now, we're not talking about allowing yourself to be trampled all over and to be walked over and used in a way that's, negative. If I let Scott take advantage of me, that's not good for him either. But there are times where we can lay down our lives just like Christ did, and he is the ultimate picture of this. Because real brotherly love is the life of an encourager and someone that works for the happiness of those around them when they accomplish things too.
Yeah, I actually got to saw this the other day, and it's a beautiful and freeing and liberating feeling to be able to be like, oh, I can cheer other people on and want best for them, regardless what happens for me. I was bowling with some of my students last week, and there's these twins, and one of them is super, super competitive, and the other one just wants to show up and have a good time. Mm-hmm. But the competitive one, like, no, you need to be competitive with me. Anyway, she had bowled a couple of strikes, and then her brother finally got one, and we're all cheering. And she got in his face and said, yeah, that's cool, but guess what? I've done that twice already, so I'm better than you. And I kind of pulled her to the side and said, hey, we can celebrate your success and his success, and it doesn't have to be a competition. And you can tell she was like, yeah, like she kind of understood but like Phil said a second ago, and that's our culture now, is, hey, do whatever it takes for you to get ahead, for you to get on top. It doesn't matter who you trample over to get there. So if we take our cues from the culture, we're going to be living for selves with selfish ambition. And, but if we take our cues from Christ, who, modeled servant leadership, and hey, to be great, you need to serve other people. You need to use your life, leverage your life for the benefit of others, to put other people in a place of success where they can thrive. So I love a quote. I think I've got it on my whiteboard in there. I think it's John Maxwell, that the ultimate goal of leadership isn't to see how far you can advance yourself. Right. It's all about how far you can advance others and help others to maximize their potential and their giftings, and to be in a place of success.
You see that in the workplace and in churches, even, where leaders will try and keep the people under them down in order to control them and keep them around. But as leaders that are God-pleasing leaders, our goal is to equip people to be the best that they can be. And sometimes that might mean in a few years, one of these guys leaves and goes and does something amazing for God. I ought to be investing so that I can celebrate that success. And we ought to do that in church, in our families, And that's ultimately what a parent is someone that is equipping someone to leave. And that's what leaders ought to be.
I saw this illustration of that in a book I was reading this week that they were talking about, to push somebody else down. So if I'm pushing on Phil here and he's getting lower and lower, I eventually am going to get lower and lower too with him. So like if you're a leader who's constantly putting other people down, ultimately you're bringing yourself down too, because you're not allowing other people to thrive. If you're at the top of an organization or, you're managing people, to put all that effort in to push them down brings everything down. And you're not being the leader that God's called you to be in that situation.
What's like the imagery is like someone drowning in the ocean. Like you're pushing the other person down to survive, but dude, you're still going to drown too.
Yeah.
So one of you just going to die a little faster, I guess. I'm going to shout out Ed Rogers.
Hey.
Check out his podcast too.
Yeah. We love it.
It's good. It ain't Weird Faith. You know it too,
His
Ed.
beard is the most impressive.
It's beard faith.
Ed and Bill, good job, guys. But Ed is actually the first pastor who hired me. And I believe this was you. If this wasn't you, just start taking credit for it before like someone like Carrie Newhoff takes credit for it. I don't know. But you, I think, said something to me when early on in ministry was that sometimes when you are the senior pastor, you are the leader of the company, you're bringing people in, as you're talking about, to build them up, but you're not bringing them in to retire, like to land the plane on the runway.
Right.
You're building them up to launch off on the launching pad. And so eventually there comes points where you're going to see these people launch off into greater things. Yep. And there's going to be a sad moment of it, but it's another thing to celebrate. Look what God's doing in someone's life. They've been preparing them and equipping them for this great and mighty work. So we celebrate as they launch out into ministry. Yeah. So Ed, thank you for that. But also I want to talk about all three of us have been in youth ministry. We've all been on church teams and we've all almost fulfilled every single role in some capacity. So there's an easy chance to be competitive with one another.
Sure.
Right. And so I told Josh whenever I first got here, hey, I will always be your biggest cheerleader. I've done youth ministry. I've had the success. I've had the failure, sometimes more than the success. And I would love to share that, but I will only do so in a way that supports and honors what he's doing and to build him up and equip him, because I feel like our church thrives if he's thriving. Yeah. Our church thrives if the student ministry is thriving. And it will never thrive if all three of us are competing with one another. But that can tear apart a church quickly.
Yeah, I appreciated that so much too, because I had to make a decision in myself too. Like, okay, well, Scott has spent a lot of years in youth ministry, did some really awesome, successful things. I had to acknowledge that. And same with Phil. I mean, Phil was my youth pastor.
I told him different. I said, you're going to do things my way or you're going to get out of here.
No, but making a decision, hey, it would be so arrogant for me to think that I have nothing to learn from these guys.
Right.
Right. Like I want to surround myself with people who can make me better and who might be better than me at things. That's how we get better. Right. So it was really cool. Like me and Scott having that moment. And I remember him saying, like, somebody had asked him like, hey, do you think it's going to be kind of weird going from youth pastor to working with a youth pastor? And he told that person, I'm going to be Josh's biggest fan. And I've felt nothing but love and support from both of these guys as they've cheered me on. And I hope I can always be the best cheerleaders for you two in your corners as well.
Well, as far as the church goes, that's my dream, to be a part of a church that's ascending church, not just, to support financially people, but there might come a day where, God begins calling people from our church to go and be pastors, or missionaries or do and be in part of organizations. And we might have to say goodbye to some of those people. That's youth ministry was like that. Every 4 years you get a teenager, right, where, you felt like, man, I can really rely on them. And then they, go off to college somewhere and you're still cheering them on, but you feel that little bit of a loss. Yeah. But that is how we have faith today, is because people continue to build people up and send them. And that can't work if we're going to be competitive with them. And this all applies again, and much like every single truth in God's word, to the secular workplace, outside of the faith, even with parenting and things like that. If you're constantly living in competition with people, you're not going to be the loving person that God has made you to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Amen.
That's good.
Yeah, love it. Good stuff.
Hey guys, we want you to continue to share. Commit to tell someone about this. Throughout the week, say, hey, this certain subject is something that we've talked about before. Why don't you check these guys out, especially people that maybe are on the fence about their faith, or maybe aren't real comfortable being in a church setting, but they might talk about the faith in a little bit more of a casual setting like this. And let's include them and get them to join the community as well here.
Yeah, here's your punishment. Since you all win the Weird Award
because
for
you
not
didn't vote.
voting for us, your embarrassing punishment is to share us out onto your timelines and onto your social media feed. I know it's going to be embarrassing, but hey, you didn't vote for us.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know if there's any of you out there that are like those. I mean, it cringe to even talk about it. Are those like Dr. Pimple Popper? I know it's not me.
Candace Weddle.
Right. Now she's a nurse, and maybe that but we probably all have those like weird little things that we watch. Yeah, Josh and I follow this dark side of nature thing where it's just like animals eating each other, and it's insane.
Yeah, it's like a serial killer.
Yeah, right. So we all have those little things that we watch that is a guilty pleasure, and you're a little bit embarrassed about. This might just be your thing that you're embarrassed about.
I'm sure you're all really confident about.
Yeah, right. But hey, we want to continue the conversation with you. That's our favorite part of this, is the community that we're building of people that are excited to talk, just normal things, but also about our faith as well, and ask ourselves how we can drive our faith deeper.
Yeah, and so I'll be hosting up next time. So as I did last time, I want you all to tell me the topic. If I respond to you, it means I think it's a pretty good idea. If I don't, just take it for what it is.
Try again.
I'm just kidding. Try again next time. No, but I would love to hear from you all. I'd love to share some stories or some fun things about whatever topic you all come up with. So let me know, and we'll have a fun time doing it.
Yeah. Shout out again to Samantha Audio for our
thank you.
topic today. So remember, you that's looking at us right now, listening to us in your ear, let's get weird, because normal isn't working.
We love you, weirdos.
We'll see ya.